Hey, how's it going? Hold on, I'm not used to these controls. There we are.
Hey! Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is Thursday night, the build right here on Distance Nerding. I am Young Fours, joined by the Husbeard,
The old
Graveyard, and guess what? I'm the captain now. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Young Phil will be running just a little bit late, but we are here for your visual and audio amusement. Husbeard, how the hell are you?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good Thursday night, almost the weekend. I'm excited for our guest tonight. I read the first issue. It's amazing. I can't wait to hear from Corissa and everything that's coming out. But before we get to that, we have to do some housekeeping, do we not?
Yes, we do have housekeeping, and I've got it all right here in front of me. You want to throw that stuff up on the screen for us?
Yes. So, first up, Poddecks.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, this entire episode is powered by Poddecks. Poddecks are a unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. Now, if you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you can level up with Poddecks. And check out poddecks.com. Utilize code NERDING10 for 10% off. Graveyard, tell them just a little bit more about Poddecks.
Yes, Poddecks is a great thing if you're a new broadcaster or existing podcaster to help you do interview questions. I personally have Poddecks. I am hopefully working with Poddecks to create a horror movie questionnaire coming up. So make sure to go to poddecks.com and use your code NERDING10 to get 10% off all your Poddecks needs.
Fan-freaking-tastic. And we would not be as juiced as we are without the power of Dubby. Ladies and gentlemen, Dubby is an emerging brand of energy drinks created to help focus, concentration, reaction time with no jitters or crash. There's no maltodextrins, sugar, fillers, artificial colors, or dyes, and this stuff is keto friendly. Dubby contains Neurofactor, a nootropic derived from the coffee fruit. Neurofactor helps give your brain focus and clarity, while the 150 milligrams of caffeine and the three essential B vitamins help you stay alert and energized. You can find out more about this amazing drink at dubby.gg. Master, and you can utilize the code NERDING10 for 10% off at your checkout. Young people, I'm so darn proud of you. No more training do you require. Now back to the show. Thank you, Master.
Yes, thank you, Master. All right. Without further ado, like I said, I'm excited. Have you had a chance to read the first issue yet?
I have not. Unfortunately, my behind has been in physical therapy thanks to my fun injury.
Ooh, I mean, that sounds fun.
It's a freaking blast. I just gotta tell you.
All right, without further ado, let's bring in the one and only Corissa Grant. Welcome. Hi, how you doing tonight?
Good evening.
How are you?
Really good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're sorry that young Phil couldn't be here yet, but I mean, you're on the screen with Master Roshi. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, who needs him?
Wow.
I didn't say that.
All right. So we have to do a little introduction to yourself and for everyone watching. We like to talk about, what is something that you nerd out on that you don't get the point of, like whether it be NFTs, cryptocurrency, or anything like that.
Yeah, NFTs would be one of them. Yeah. I don't understand anything about those, so I don't get why anyone's excited about those personally. But are they still a thing?
For now.
I used to hear about them nonstop, and now I haven't heard about them at all. So,
yeah.
Anything you're just kind of like going nuts over at the moment?
Oh, me going nuts over?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want to hear about. What are you nerding out over?
Man, it's been. I don't know. I pretty much hide in the indie world. So.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, I don't read any more mainstream comics or anything. I used to read Ghost Rider. That was my obsession, but I haven't gotten into that in a while. So, but
Any shows that you're watching on any streaming service? Any brand new games you're playing? Anything you're just kind of binging on at the moment?
the only thing I'm really looking forward to, and now that you said it, it actually might be out this week, is I want to watch Death Island because I'm into Resident Evil, and the new CGI is movies out, and it's the fifth one in the series, and all of them are together. You know, you got Jill and Claire. I RP'd as Claire Redfield for 15 years, and she's the reason why I'm writing. So I'm excited to see Claire and Leon and Chris and all that.
Oh
so
my gosh, yes. Hey, so I don't want to derail us too much, but I do want to ask your opinion regarding one thing. Did you like Ethan? Did you enjoy his story? Were you into that?
No, not really.
Okay. Questions answered.
I have to say, like, I am just fully obsessed with the main the first two original games. All those characters are the only ones I ever really care about, and I just don't care about anybody else.
we both know we both know Leon's the only character that ever mattered.
Exactly. Like, man, he's the reason why I started RPing, because I wanted to write Claire and write with an actual adventure with Leon, and I never got to in 15 years. So that sucked. But him and Claire in every single movie and game, they're always separated. They never get to do anything together. They almost had a date at the end of the CGI movie, and I forgot which one screwed it up, but I'm pretty sure it was
Leon. Damnation, right?
Yeah.
So, I got that one on DVD.
Like, they were so close, and then I don't know. I think Claire had something with her righteous, pain in the ass self, and then he said something stupid, and I don't know. I was mad, but
you have to find my brother. Of course you do.
Yeah, they were a little too close for comfort, but yeah. I mean, she went all the way to, not a lot of people played this because it wasn't one of the best, but she went all the way to Code Veronica Island to find Chris. So, and then he wasn't even there.
You know what the really funny thing is? The most memorable thing about that game is that freaking mouse.
Oh yeah, that's all. Yeah, yeah.
She gets it. She gets it.
I actually read all the novels. I played all the beginning games. I don't think I played.
So cool.
Yeah, I mean, my whole my book 3, which is like issues 16 through 24, is all Resident Evil 2, and they're going through the city with survivors and trying to get through zombies that were, infected zombies and lab creatures and everything. So, that's, and then they go to like a Code Veronica Island where they get stuck in labs, where they go through different environments and stuff. And I absolutely love Resident Evil. And I haven't played the remake because, first of all, I watched the remake, parts of it, the demo of Resident Evil 4, and to me, I'm sure it's better, but it looks identical to what I originally played, because to me, Resident Evil 4 was so advanced when I got it that I don't really, I'll probably play it because Resident Evil.
It's phenomenal. Rest assured, it's not a leather rinse repeat. If you get it, you'll really enjoy it. I promise.
I've bought every single system I've ever had because of Resident Evil. I had to get GameCube for the freaking Zero. Yep. I had to get, every single freaking system I've ever had was because of this stupid game.
Nice.
I remember, first of all, this is what originally happened. I never played game. I had played Atari, so I'm old, but I never played, anything. I played Duck Hunt, but nothing really exciting. So I remember I watched a commercial for Resident Evil 2, and when the crocodile comes out of the sewer, for whatever reason, that's what made me buy the game. I had to go out and buy PlayStation 1 to rent the game because of that damn commercial. So they make commercials just for me, apparently. But
don't feel bad. I actually got a Sega CD 5 years too late because of one game. So, I mean, I'm right there on that train with you.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I was obsessed with an anime once, Fushigi Yugi, for anyone.
Was it Armored Dragoon?
But No, it was for Sugar Yugi, but I bought a Laserdisc player just to watch it on Laserdisc because I used to buy the bootleg tapes from like New York City. So I literally bought a whole, and I never owned anything else but the
Okay.
Sugar Yugi Laserdisc.
Okay. This is it. This is bonding moment. Team Suzaku or Team Seiryu?
Oh,
Screw Nakago. All right, we got to get on point here.
I mean,
you guys are at a level above me right now.
Sorry,
Hey.
Hi guys, I'm still running late, but I figured,
It's the power of the shirt.
Yeah, I know, right? I figured. Okay, let me at least do this so I can be a part of this, and then once I get home, I can.
This is like a horror movie waiting to happen.
It is 100%.
I mean, I don't know anything about buying systems that aren't played anymore or Laserdisc at all. I don't have 400
the Laserdisc never went anywhere. It just, I mean, I remember when DVDs came out, because this is again how old I am, and I was at some country fair and they're like, oh, DVDs are a thing, and I was like, I don't need that shit, I have VHS. But and then they're like, oh, you can watch 2 different languages, and I was like, I can watch the Japanese version with subtitles and the English version. That's the only reason why I bought DVDs. So my whole life,
having to buy 2 VHS tapes? No.
It was life changing, I tell you. So
right.
Yeah.
So what do we got, Husbeard, for the for our non-derailing questions? Because oh my God, what have I done?
Lovely interview written here. So
yes.
I just can't look at it right now. But Graveyard, I'm going to let you.
Yeah. So, I was able to read the first issue of Redemption, and I thought it was amazing. I can't wait for the next 4. Absolutely. So tell us. It's very unique that you have 2 protagonists written by 2 different writers. What's it like working with JC Little to write the stories, and how you came up with this writing style?
It's effing amazing. So like I said, I started as a role player, and I was Claire Redfield for 15 years and quite popular because I was awesome. And I had this idea for this angelic weapon for like 11 years, and I RP'd with a lot of people for a long time, and for whatever reason, none of them I felt this connection with, and I held this idea, and I met JC, and the next day I was like, you want to take a role I've been holding for 11 years? And JC's like, I never take roles. And yes, I do. So I sent a 4,000 word reply starter, and it was on. And in 2 years we had 10 novels, and we're still writing. So last week I sent her a 15,000 word reply, and we passed the 1 million mark words in the story. So yeah, and it's in 2.5 years. This is a million words in 2.5 years, and that's not even counting.
A lot of writing.
It's a lot of writing, and I'm dyslexic, so when I started as a role player, I was a one-liner. So I've kind of grown like a tiny bit since then. But it's amazing. So I pretty much lead the story. And so I write the first chapter, then I send my chapter to JC, and then I get a reply back of Draven's reply. And to give a little feedback, since I'm just kind of talking, like I'm not, I write for Seraphina, which is Angel Descendant, Supernatural Hunter, and JC writes for Draven, Demon Descendant, who's an assassin. So I do all of Seraphina's actions and voice and thoughts and everything, and then JC does Draven. So when you're reading this story, I am not that amazing of a writer. They're literally 2 different people. So you get that uniqueness to it. Like my character talks way more than she thinks, and Draven thinks way more than he talks, which would be JC.
But like I feel like I just going off of what we were able to read, like I feel like Seraphina is a much more interesting character so far.
Yeah,
at least maybe in the first book, and like I feel like and this is not just me, like just blowing smoke. I'm just like I do feel like there's a lot more of her in the first book, which is what we were able to read. We had an issue with the second book for some reason. We couldn't open it, but
why didn't you tell me?
It was late last night, and I
Oh.
knew I wasn't going to be able to read
You guys
today, so-
procrastinate worse than I do.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
Well,
yeah,
But like, yeah, the whole thing with like, I feel like she is, at least in the first book, a lot more interesting. There's a lot more intrigue with Draven, and you're just kind of like, okay, where was he at this entire time, and what was going on? But Seraphina, like, it's like her whole backstory is super tragic, and it's like it makes her a much more interesting character.
yeah, Seraphina kicks ass. To answer the question, the novels were never released and never will be. However, it is a comic book series right now. We are live with issue 5. Yes, it is a horror genre, but it's like a horror supernatural adventure genre. I made up my own damn thing. I don't even know what you want to call it. Because
Well, I was gonna
it's,
say, because I mean, there's fantasy elements because Anubis is involved in this too, right? So it's like,
yeah, it's like a survival game because the whole thing is they're surviving. So Seraphina is trying to survive against her angelic father and Draven's demon father, and they're after her because she was created from an angelic weapon, which you will find out if you read to 3. They kind of tell you that. So she's created from this weapon, and they're trying to get it from her. Unfortunately, it takes her death to do it, and of course, it has to be some unique death to do it. But so it's, and both fathers are trying to get it because whoever gets this angelic weapon, it has the power of souls, and it'll tip the scale of heaven and hell, and whatever favor gets the weapon. There's actually other reasons that they want it, but that's for later, and I'm not allowed to give spoilers because I get in trouble. Yeah, it's based on. Yeah, it's kind of based on role. I mean, we role played this. So it's 5. This series alone is 5 books, which is approximately 45 issues already written. So series 1 is done. The first arc is 7 issues. We release every other month, except for we skip December. So it's our next release for issue 6. We're live now with 5. 6 is August. It's already done. 6 is already done, and it's going to be released August 15th, and then issue 7 and the graphic novel of all 7 will be released on Halloween. It starts October 3rd. And then I gave everyone.
Nice. I was going to say I saw the cover for issue 7 on your Facebook page. And,
yeah, it's nice,
that was
right?
pretty dope too. Yeah.
Yeah. I am the creator of it. I have a co-writer. So I created the story, but my co-writer writes all of Draven. So it's a joint effort to complete the entire story. And we obviously we go through ideas, and we banter about, we build off of each other's ideas. And do I take the books to the cons? I take the comic. I have a con this weekend. If you're talking about the comic books, I do take them to cons. I take 1 through 3 to cons because I'm too lazy to carry all of them. There's always a launch party. It's going to be August 15th and October 3rd. And it's always live on the Madness channel. And I get nervous every time because I feel like I'm going to be on there and no one's going to pledge while I'm live. And they always do, but I panic every time. Like, what if no one pledges? So my husband's on standby and my mom in case I need someone to pledge. So the Arch is 1 through 7, and book 2 will start January 23rd is the launch for that. Book 2 is kind of like Resident Evil 1 and 2 kind of put together because they're trapped. Now the story is continuous before anyone asks, but they're in different environments, and that's why I made them different books. So book 2, they're trapped in a haunted asylum, and there's ghosts and zombies. And there's also our version of lickers, which are giant salamanders that go on the ceiling.
Yes.
They have they have like razor sharp tails and shit. Yeah.
They have laser beams attached to their freaking heads.
Laser beams attached to their freaking foreheads. Okay.
Yeah, so I've never had writers. Oh, how many writers on the book? 2 writers on the book. We write for each character. That's how we tell. So I tell the story. I lead the story. So I have to write the first chapter, and then JC writes through Draven's reactions and speech to whatever I say. You have the most active group I've ever been in. This is awesome. I am way too ADD for this. So everyone asks the genre, whatever. So it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural and Silent Hill and the Resident Evil world. That is the
Yeah.
thing.
I definitely got that from the first episode. Honestly, I did.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, like, I picked up a vibe, and I have a question about this in the
Sure.
interview. But I picked up a very almost like a Hellblazer vibe out of this too.
yeah. I love all horror, but I'm old, so 80s and 90s. It's got like an 80s feel to it. We've been told it's got the kind of
We're
color.
all the same age. You were all on the same age range here. You keep saying old.
Okay, good.
That just makes us feel old. So
the last I do 2 interviews a day, and I've been the oldest in like every single one except for like one last night. So I've been feeling like old because they're like, oh, what's MySpace? And I was like, oh, shut the hell up. So
one of our jokes is that we have a MySpace.
Seriously.
I started first role playing on MySpace, and that's how it all started.
We literally have an email address that's distancenerding@aol.com.
And to make you feel better about your 80s and 90s horror, I don't know how well you can see it, but I have Jason,
nice.
I have Michael, I have Freddy.
So on that note, every single issue has an Easter egg from either a horror game, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, whatever, or an 80s and 90s horror movie. So you've got Nightmare on Elm Street, there's Saw, there's Friday the 13th, there's Hellraiser, there's well, I can't tell you all of them because technically when the graphic novel comes out, whoever finds and posts all of the Easter eggs gets a 3D printed RPG miniature of Anubis. So there's that.
Ooh.
Okay.
So to answer the other question, so the artist is Jonas DaCosta. It's his first paid job. So I'm incredibly lucky because we're both trying to figure this freaking thing out together. I've only been doing this 7 months, so I still don't know what the hell I'm doing.
So this is still pretty fresh.
Yeah. I started Halloween of last year, so this Halloween is going to be my 1 year in comics. Do you have an over? Yeah, there actually is a huge plot for it, but you don't really. You learn it as you go. Like 7 it tells you a lot of what's going on, but it kind of goes where it is. But there's a lot of plot twists and turns, and there's a lot of behind the scenes things that you don't know yet about why they really want the weapon or what the weapon really is, and all that fun stuff.
So So with this being new to you, and you've written, obviously you guys combined have written 1 million words. What influences do you have as a writer? Do you look at certain ways of writing to figure this out, or do you follow like your RPG elements, or just like a movie element, or like a book series,
or is there like any particular writers that inspire you?
The only writer that I ever I have the graphic novel here is James O'Barr from The Crow. So that was my favorite graphic novel. He actually just signed my book, and he took a copy because he's like, "Is this for me?" I was like, "Yeah." I didn't think of that, but I'm like, if you're gonna take it, yeah. So if you're gonna take it, seems like a lot of work went into them. It is one artist on all the books. He has promised to stay around for all of them. He's actually slightly upset. We have we have these 5 books for this series, but we also have a spin-off series that's already written too. It's another 5 books, which is another 45 issues already written. And I told my artist, I hate that you can't do the spinoff. And he's like, "What do you mean I can't do it?" And I was like, "You have 45 issues, and series 2 is 3 issues in. I mean, it's going to take you a few years to do these." And we also have a prequel. So yeah, I don't know.
So with all these different stories, and I always like to find this out without spoilers. Obviously the big universe building thing is huge right now. Is there plans with all this stuff to be just continue to expand that universe with the spin-offs to be all set in the same world, but just different characters?
So the thing about the spin-off, okay, so you know how in 1, I have to explain briefly about 1, otherwise you won't understand the spin-off. But as in 1, you see that they were supposed to run away as teenagers when they were teenagers. They were supposed to run away, and Draven left to get a weapon to get her away from her abusive parents. And while that happened, her brother got possessed by a demon and killed her parents. She told him not to come back to the house. The first thing he did was come back to the house. She jumped out the back window and he went in the front door. He slipped on her blood, called her name. She turned around to go back, and she got hit by a car, and she was put in critical condition and in coma for months, and he was arrested for her murder. So for 10 years, they were separated and thought the other one was dead. Yeah, so she trained as a supernatural hunter to get back at her brother for taking away Draven, and Draven became an assassin because without Seraphina there, he was pretty much, heartless and didn't really care about anything. So the thing is, the angelic weapon can't be activated if they're separated. So when he moved closer to her, yes, Draven's named after the crow. Someone asked if it's named after the crow. Yeah, yes. Yeah. So to get the weapon had to be activated because he was holding it, and so they had to get him closer together. So when Draven came closest to them, they're soulmates. So the souls set off an alert, and angels and demons tricked them into a town that's like Silent Hill, except for it's being completely merged with hell. So now they are trapped in this town, and they're fighting zombies and hellhounds and a zombie merman, Anubis, ghosts, and everything else you could possibly think of that is vampires. Now the spinoff is a what if they ran away before the murder happened, and now you have these two teenagers on the run dealing with the same exact things, only she's not trained in any kind of fighting or any kind of supernatural, and he's not trained as an assassin, so they have no knowledge of supernatural. And it started as a joke, and then it turned into this an incredibly adventurous, insane story that was like epic. And yeah, I'm biased, but still. But I mean, we have a zombie island, and we have all these really cool scenarios, and it actually wound up being really awesome story. But it's like a what if. So it's the same universe, same characters, totally different scenarios. And the thing that's really funny, and we didn't realize it until I just finished the ending of book 5 like 2 weeks ago on the spinoff. The characters that were allies in Redemption wound up being more like enemies in spinoff, and vice versa to the enemies. They became allies in the other one. And it wasn't on purpose. It was just because of the situations they were in at the time. But it was interesting to see it go in that route when we weren't actually planning it. So yeah, it made it a little different. But anyway, yeah. I rambled on. Did you have a question?
No. So I mean, obviously you talk about we discussed inspiration. Obviously I can, like I said, from the first issue, I was definitely able to see the supernatural, about the Vampire Slayer, Resident Evil. So yeah. I'm excited for the trade paperback because I am a horror fiend. this man above me knows. I love all things. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I love all things horror. So what's the reception been for this? You said you bring books 1 through 3 to the Comic-Con and stuff like that.
So far at cons, I have to say, especially Nashville Con, like almost everyone except for 2 people bought all sets of 1 through 3. Like it wasn't like I bought 1, but they all bought 3. So it was kind of interesting and quite an investment to give into buying all 3. So people love the art. They come in for the art, and when I explain the story like a rambling sugarholic, they really get into it and they really love it. Online I get a lot of good feedback. People love the panels, they love the 80s 90s feel, they love the dialogue, which I did not realize is hard to do in comics because I didn't intend to write this and it wasn't on purpose. So that was good to know. And they like the characters, they like the story, and so far I've had really good feedback on it, and I'm really happy about that. So yeah, I'm hoping people stick around for it. I'm hoping it becomes popular enough. I don't say I don't care about profit, but I just